The Tesla Model Y topped the sales charts in 2023, and everyone is aiming to challenge it. The Cupra Tabascan is a strong contender, but its look might not be to everyone's taste. But I reckon that it might be more appealing with the Volkswagen touch. Not long ago, I showed you guys the look of the Volkswagen ID.UNYX, and today, let's see how it drives. I'm Harris, you're watching Matt EV. I have to say, the setup was quite interesting. They got a go-kart track and a mini Goodwood with a rubber wrecking ball. Shamefully, for a licensed racing driver, my rear wheel sort of brushed against a drawbell in a hairpin turn. But let me explain. Firstly, although the car's front is relatively low, the belt line is not. Since I prefer a low driving position, this affected my visual. But this will not have any big impact on daily driving because you wouldn't typically drive at such speed in narrow spaces. Secondly, which is actually a good thing, it has a surprising 4.7 meter turning radius. So I kind of overcorrected a bit. Plus, this car is just over 1.8 meters wide, making it more maneuverable in urban areas compared to some 2 meter wide EVs. Overall, despite having standard SUV dimensions and height, it was swift and agile. Also, unlike the ID.4, 5 and 6, the steering has a variable non-linear ratio. This means the steering ratio is higher around the center but decreases at larger angles, which requires less input. Now let's move on. I drove the top-spec all-wheel drive model with 21 inches tires. Like the ID.4, it uses staggered tire width to balance the torque difference between the front and rear motors. Judging by the tire shoulders, I believe the rims are of equal width, allowing the side walls of the front tires to tilt more, thus enabling them to better withstand cornering forces. But in autocross and moose test, the tires still struggle a bit on this uneven, dusty surface. Yet the steering remains precise and the suspension gives good support to the body, even under these extreme conditions. And I think this has benefited from a high torsional rigidity and a DCC suspension system. After having fun at the track, we took the car out for a ride in the bustling city of Beijing. Now we can see how the car behaves in the real world. At higher speeds and with less frequent steering maneuvers, the car remains responsive and reacts swiftly to my input. And the steering is well-weighted, providing excellent feedback. I have to give it to Volkswagen tuning team because the UNYX has the best steering of all the EVs I've ever driven in this price range. Let me know in the comment if you know one with a better driving. Then the pedals. According to Top Gear, the Cupra Tabascan ID.UNYX sibling has a brake pedal that isn't as sharp and predictable as the accelerator, but my experience with the UNYX was a bit different. The brake pedal actually feels excellent, offering strong linear braking force and nice pedal support. Unlike some EVs that have overly sensitive brakes and the disconnection between mechanical braking and regen. Similarly, the throttle pedal delivers a smooth and gradual acceleration. Even though not 100 times is 5.6 seconds and the power kicks in a bit later than Model Y, the 340 horsepower can still provide adequate power for daily driving. One minor issue I noticed at low speed, especially under 20 kph, was a slight delay in the throttle. What about the comfort, you may ask? Well, it's pretty good. Despite not having double-layered glass, the NVH levels are quite ideal. At 50 to 60 kph, wind and roll noise are well controlled, at least on this kind of surface. The suspension smooths out the ride, providing a floaty and comfy experience. However, on bumpy roads, there are slight low-frequency vibrations and a bit more pitch, which could be improved in the SOP version. What I want to say is that you can criticize legacy automakers' software however you like, but there's no doubt about their ability to make cars with excellent driving dynamics, even without the most advanced hardware. But now, let's see if the software has anything worth criticizing. Well, the first is not exactly a software issue, but it's electronic stuff and is the most annoying one. What's up with these automakers cutting down costs on window control? Can you save $1 million by just having 2 buttons instead of 4? The second issue is with the instrument display, which is a bit small. Well, the top trim does come with a large HUD, but it could be better if they had installed the integrated display from the ID.7. Lastly, Volkswagen's infotainment system. Indeed, it has been improved significantly. The interface and the responsiveness are much better than early models like the ID.3 and Golf GTI Mark 8. But the avatar, which you can customize and play dress up, it might appeal to some, but I prefer to just not have it. From all the footage, we can see the ID.UNYX is more restrained than the Tavascan in almost every way, but it still inherits some design philosophy, making it, I think it's safe to say, the most stylish electric Volkswagen. Moving on to the rear seats, I'm 6'3", sitting behind a 5'11" driver's sitting position. The position feels right, the seating paddings are also nice, and the rear space is adequate. Especially the headroom. It's hard to have such headroom in a cupra SUV with a proper sunshade. Despite not offering enough thigh support for someone as tall as me and the backrest being slightly upright, the overall experience is satisfactory. To summarize, without a strong price advantage, the ID.UNYX might struggle to become a top seller. It lags behind Tesla and other EV makers in terms of smart software features, but its vehicle dynamics remain a strong competitive advantage for Volkswagen. By the way, I don't know if you ever heard of this, but Ford just released a new electric SUV built on the same MEB platform, the Cupra, if you can even call it that. What a desecration of a legendary name. But name aside, I'm quite curious about its vehicle dynamics, because for gas cars, Ford's tuning has always been sportier than Volkswagen's. So let's wait and see what kind of setup will Ford cook up based on this already very capable platform. Thank you very much for watching, see you next time.